Disney continues to crank out live-action versions of their animated films, this time taking on one of their newer properties in Moana.
So it's been about 10 years since we had the original animated Moana film, and it is by far Disney's most streamed movie of all time. So it was only natural that we were going to get at some point a live action version of this. It's really cool that they got Dwayne Johnson to come back and be the live action version of Maui, silly wig aside that he's in, and it's kind of become a meme on the internet at this point. But you get basically what amounts to a almost, not completely, but a pretty heavily shot for shot adaptation of the film. So it becomes one of those divisive things on the internet where you can't win, and you can't win no matter what you do. If you divert too much from the animated movie, people are gonna find issues with that. If it's too much like the original, people are gonna find issues with that, saying it's unoriginal and all this other stuff. I had a great time. I mean, Catherine Lagaia is making her film debut here as Moana in live action, and I thought she more than held her own in this film. Like, she did a very good job of playing Moana on screen. I think they did a really good job of adapting everything that was magical and special about the animated film in this. Like, I think the movie turned out to be just fine. Like, if you love the Moana movie, I think you'll get enjoyment out of this. I mean, you can't do all the fantastical things that you do in animation and live action, but I think for the most part they did a fine job of this. It's just, at this point, it just comes down to whether or not you think it's like really needed or worth it. But I still wound up having a good time watching this in the theaters. I really did.
Yeah, a lot of people already have their minds made up before they even see it, because it's kind of been that way for a while with these Disney live-action films. It's been very mixed and very hit or miss on what people actually feel about them, because, as you said, it's kind of a lose-lose, because, as you said, Moana, this live-action is nearly shot-for-shot to the animated film, so it's not really bringing anything new, story or plot or anything like that. It's just giving you the animated film in live-action, which was good enough for me. Like, I had a really good time with it. I will second that Catherine was great coming as Moana. She held her own, not only with her acting, but with the singing, because that soundtrack became an instant mega hit for everybody. I had, my kids were extremely young when the first one came out, but we listened to that for years upon years, and that movie became an instant classic. So it's that hard thing. It's been 10 years, but it hasn't felt like it's been 10 years since that. So it does feel a little soon to do a live action version, especially if you're keeping exactly the same. But as you said, it's pretty much a lose-lose situation for them, because you can look back at like Mulan. That was an adaptation that they changed pretty heavily and shifted into something new and different. I enjoyed it for what it was, but a lot of people disliked it and hated it because it made too many changes. It didn't have Mushu. It didn't have a whole lot of stuff. And other things like The Lion King, which was CGI animation, and a few of the others they've done have been pretty close to the animated film. I just don't think audiences know what they want out of it, or they just have their minds made up right away that I love the cartoon so much, I cannot like the live action. Sure. And I think that's going to be a problem for this film. I think the box office is already kind of showing that early on the numbers that it's been showing. But it's a good film. It is one you can question, is it necessary or needed? And there's no real wrong answer on that side with it, because there's plenty against and plenty for. But overall, I think they did what a lot of the other live actions has been missing, and is keeping that heart a part of the live action film. There are problems with the movie and some of the performances and things in here, but I think it did better than a lot of others recently of keeping that heart and soul of that original animated film alive in the live action.
Sure. I mean, they keep the love and things like that for like the island culture and things like that. They keep a lot of that heart in there. The songs are awesome. You get all your favorite Moana songs in here too.
Slightly tweaked.
A little bit, but
not much.
Not enough to like really throw you off your game or anything, but like you get all your songs. You get, beat for beat practically the entire film. They make a couple minor changes, like Pow's not in the movie as much live action. I don't know if they had issues with CGIing both a pig and a chicken the entire time, but like
Pua.
Yeah, Pua. It just has issues like that where you just like, okay, did they skimp a little here just to not have to animate both a chicken and a pig, because you get Hey Hey in the entire film, and Hey Hey is just absurd and silly and over the top, and is probably the more, marketable character of the two in the film. But you still get a lot of that. You get, I think, a great performance from Renee Owen, who was the grandma in the film. She's a lot of the heart of it too, and she did a fantastic job. And they kind of push the parents a little bit to the back burner. Some of the other people, where she's not interacting as much with like the rest of the people on the island, because she spends so much of it like being off on her adventure, which is kind of the point of the movie here. But outside of that, I don't really have many nitpicks in the film. You get a lot of just get Moana on screen. Moana was so good. It's like one of the best Disney movies they've ever put out, but it's also like one of the better, more recent ones too.
Yeah.
I think this film ultimately at the end of the day is going to suffer from bad timing.
Yeah.
And by bad timing, I mean when it's releasing during the year. Like if it had come out later in the year, around when, like, let's say Moana 2 came out, because Moana 2, we can go back in our archives and see what we thought about it, but we thought it was a little bit lesser, like still decent, but not as hard hitting as Moana, but it still made a ton of money when it came out. Like it did very commercially well. I think this is going to suffer because it is a family film that is following on several family films that have already come out recently, with, the juggernaut that is still Toy Story 5. The Minions movie just came out too. That's another family movie. Then you throw Moana out here, and then, we know the big, Spider-Man movie is coming out in a couple weeks. It's going to be another one that everybody's going to go see.
Odyssey a week
Yeah,
after.
I mean, that's not as much of a family
Yeah, not
movie.
as much as family, but you're just looking at screens that's going to take away
Sure.
from, and time that's going to take away from.
But
it
you're
being
also
seen.
looking at how they're targeting that movie. This movie is definitely targeted more towards
Oh,
families
yeah.
and kids. And,
I'm just saying, like, it's came out in a very, because
It's a tough time.
Supergirl's underperforming, and it's not exactly a family film, but you have a lot of kind of heavy hitters around here,
Sure.
and I guess they expected Moana to be a heavy hitter, but so far it's not showing to be a summer blockbuster.
And to be fair, with it being the most streamed movie on their application,
Yeah.
you would think it has the opportunity to do so. But when you put it in against proven box office juggernauts like that, it's kind of hard when it's not animated. You know what I mean? Like, had this been Moana 3, maybe.
Which is in the works.
Yeah, for sure. But like, had it been that instead of this, it probably
Yeah.
could have performed a little bit better than it's probably going to, right?
Yeah, if it was an
It's
animated version, it's just face it, it would be doing better.
It's just terrible timing with the other films that have coming out that are similarly marketed. And we've talked numerous times on here about how, like, it's hard for families to afford to go out as much, but when you throw out bigger things like that just happened to come before it, I feel like more people were saving their money to go see Toy Story than can probably turn right back around and go see a film like this. Yeah. On top of the other things that we've already discussed, where you already have a very divisive, like, do they need to make this film, like, mindset of people that are just like, whatever, or like, I've already gone and, we've used our family outing for Toy Story. We can wait for this one to come on Disney because we'll watch it on Disney. Like, I have a feeling this movie may not do as well commercially at the box office, but it's going to do very well when it gets on streaming. I think you'll see viewership for that go really high when it makes its way there. It's just, like I said, all of these things are combining to maybe not the financial return they were hoping for it, but I think it's still going to be a very successful movie.
Yeah, I think it's got to get past that stigma of it. Okay, it's a live action version of Moana. Most of the reviews so far are telling people, hey, this is pretty much an animated movie in live action. Some people may be like, you know what, I can wait to watch that at home because of it. Like, the only real nitpick I have with the movie is that Dwayne Johnson was the only option to do Maui. He's a little inconsistent with his performance as Maui. Again, it's 10 years past when he voiced him in there. Animation can give you a little bit more charm and everything with the deadpan and the faces, and we know he looks a little ridiculous with that wig. It takes a little while to get used to the wig and the bodysuit. It's very clear he's wearing a bodysuit. They had the CG a flex in there of when he flexes muscle. We know he's a muscular guy. We know he's slimmed down quite a lot, but he's 55 years old. Like, you can't expect that he's going to have that full enthusiasm all the time. But I think it's some of the more deadpan jokes of Maui that worked better in the cartoon that didn't work as well in live action, even though you have the same person. It's a big difference between how they can make the animated Maui look and how he looked fine. But again, the wig, I never fully got used to it. It's just weird seeing him with hair past, the little buzz that he used to have. And that bodysuit was like, it was very clear to probably anybody who knows The Rock and knows Dwayne Johnson right away, that that's not him. That's that's a bodysuit. And then it distracts you a little bit in there because you're looking at all the imperfections and things in that bodysuit, because you can tell, especially with the arms a lot, when he moves, that you can almost see almost a fold or something else in there. Like, it does throw you off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's not as jacked as he used to be. I mean, this isn't Conan the Barbarian Rock. Like, this isn't Scorpion King Rock. Like, even like his early stints in Fast and the Furious, where he was just ripped out of his mind and just huge. Like, he doesn't carry that same bulk anymore, so he's a lot leaner now. Like, he's still very muscular, very strong, ridiculous workout routines and all of those things. Like, he's still in better shape than I'll ever be in my entire life. But you could definitely tell that they had to help enhance that a little bit to have him fit the physical prowess of Maui, which is a little more over the top that you can get away with in animation, and that's kind of the difference.
It's also the issues with the tattoos and how much water you're in, and you'd have to cover up his tattoos and then put on another layer of tattoos and have spots for CGI and everything else to be worked out on his little guy moving around his chest. And then dealing with water, that it's probably going to rinse off those temporary tattoos. So it was the most practical way for it to do it. It didn't look horrible, but it stood out.
Sure, for sure. And it's just a minor, and in the end, these are all just like minor visual concerns that we have with this. But man, I still say, like, I got enjoyment out of this. Like you said, you get all the good music. You get a brand new song by Lin-Manuel Miranda at the very end. It's probably going to be among those Oscar-nominated animated feature songs that are probably going to be, up, and it's going to be fun to watch Lin-Manuel Miranda versus Taylor Swift at the Oscars next year, because she did her song for Toy Story, and there's a very good chance that both of them could be nominated, around award season. That's always fun to debate, but that was a good song too. But
because you got the animated Moana, you got the live action Moana, and then you got Dwayne Johnson, your connection to both of them in there, and it was a solid song. It plays over the credits, so there's no credit scenes. If you want to stick around to just listen to the new song, it starts rolling as soon as the credits start going.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this all comes down to what your viewpoint on this film is going to be. I hope that more people take the approach of, I like Moana, I'll give it a shot. That's kind of what I hope people take away from this, because at the end of the day, it's a fine movie. This is going to be one of those movies that critics are panning because they're like, they're not doing anything original. They're not doing anything. But if you're a fan of Moana, check this out. I think your kids are going to like it. I mean, usually the best barometer for these types of films are the fun and we like to bounce it off of, what your daughters thought about it. It looked like, from my perspective, that they were enjoying themselves during the movie when we watched it. How did they feel about it when we got out of it?
They both had a good time. I think they both had the same type of reaction I did to it, is that it was perfectly fine. It was an enjoyable, watchable movie. Yeah. The animated version is still superior to it.
Sure.
But it was still fun. Like I said, Catherine was a fantastic Moana. She held her own on the songs and portraying this character and bringing her to life. Like, I think it was an excellent choice of bringing her in as Moana in that. But yeah, we all kind of felt the same, that it was fun. It was a good time, but it's not like it's hard to ever replicate the magic that original had. Like, even that was an instant classic. That was just a absolute home run that Disney had when they first put Moana out. It just was bright, colorful. It was just the songs. That was the biggest issue I had with the second one, was that you didn't have Lin-Manuel Miranda's songs in there. Like, his songs helped make and put it on there. And the second animated movie, felt like almost a cheap imitation. They were trying to match it, but they did not match just how good of a songwriter he is. And the songs, as we know with these Disney movies, can really make or break a movie. Like, how would the Tarzan movie be looked at without Phil Collins' soundtrack to it?
It wouldn't hit the same. How would The Lion King feel without the incredible soundtrack it had?
And Aladdin, and
Aladdin at least had Robin Williams.
Yeah, like, Aladdin, you had Robin Williams, so you did have that kind of backup there.
You're just like, thank God.
Which was what the live action was missing. Like, Will Smith did the best he could. You cannot replace and replicate what Robin Williams did for Genie. Like that's
perfect casting.
That's just something, that's almost one like you may not want to touch. And that's another one where it did change quite a bit and people were very mixed on how they felt about it because they changed it. Like that's going to be the biggest deterrent and issue with this movie is people's preconceived views and notions on what they're going to feel about it before they ever watch it. If you can go in with just a blank slate of looking at it, you're going to have a good time with it because it matches very closely to animated film. You can pick it apart of saying, yeah, well, it is exactly the animated film. Very few minor changes and shifts here and there. Add an extra joke, add an extra line. They add a little bit to show the culture and the family a little bit more with things to honor that, you know, Polynesian, I think it was Polynesian culture that is supposed to be based around.
Yeah.
But past that, I mean, story beats, it's exactly Moana. And it really all depends on what you go in for. If you're just going to say, well, yeah, it was okay, but I've already seen this movie. It's called Moana, and it's animated. Well, you're kind of ruining your own time. That's going to be the biggest divider and problem with this if people can just turn off. Is it necessary? No. But did they do a good job with it? Yes. Like, if the animated film didn't come out and this was just done as live action, this would be getting a whole lot higher ratings.
I think so too.
If the animated never existed. But the problem is, it is the animated movie just in live action.
When you're replicating a movie as perfect as it, like it's genuinely upper tier Disney movie for me. And for a lot of people too. Obviously.
It's a 9.5 to 10 out of me.
Easily.
With the hundreds of times I've watched it with my kids.
Easily. And it's one of those that it's a gamble you take when you mess with something like that and you bring it and you try to bring it to life. I appreciate what they did with it. I think the visuals were really well done. I think visually it was a well shot film. It looked good. Like a couple bodysuit issues aside, like I think they did a fine enough job with it, bringing it to life as much as you can. That's that good of an animated movie. I think they've done as good a job of that as I've seen in any other live action attempt that they've made up until this point. Like, I think it was still visually really well done. I love the fact that they got Jermaine Clement back to come back as the voice of Tamatoa. That was cool to see.
As soon as he started talking,
I was like,
he's back. Because that's it. It's Dwayne Johnson and it's Jermaine.
Clement,
that's it.
And you know, we get some good performances in there too. But like you said, Catherine and Dwayne are carrying the bulk of this movie because it is Moana and Maui. Like those are the two main characters that do the heavy lifting, and they do fine. Like I enjoyed it. It's just one of those films that everybody seems to have made up their mind on ahead of time that we don't need it. We don't need to go see it. And I think the box office is going to reflect it. I think everybody in our theater that made the leap to go watch it had a really good time. People seemed like they were really enjoying themselves. And to follow on from our last episode, people were actually quiet in the theater, which was nice. And it's crazy because it was little kids and they were more well-behaved than the teenagers. Go back and see our rant from the last episode to know what we're talking about there. But yeah, it was a much better theater experience here and we had a good time.
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's been 10 years, but it doesn't feel like it's been 10 years. And I think that's the biggest hang up most everybody has on this is like, did we really need it? But it's also been that conversation with every single Disney live action film is, do we need it? You know, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Little Mermaid, you know, they made bigger changes to Little Mermaid. Just a lot of minds were made up before they ever see these films. And Snow White, I think that's actually part of maybe what's hurting this as well, is that the last live action Disney film we got was Snow White, and that was such a huge, divisive film. Like, that was the biggest kind of flop that they've had out of all of these.
Yeah, we had Lilo and Stitch, too.
I guess you had, I guess you did have Lilo and Stitch in between, which people were a little mixed on. I had fun with it.
Yeah, we had fun with it.
It changed stuff, but, yeah, I mean, I almost forgot about Lilo and Stitch. We're working on the second one right now. But, yeah, it just, everyone, I think, just keeps going back to Snow White and just how bad that if we were a little more forgiving on it than a lot of other people, it was still a rough movie. It had a lot of issues and problems with it, but it's every one of them that have come out so far hasn't been a grand slam home run. It's been something that everyone's kind of questioning. What was the motive? What was the reason? What is this and that? I think Moana is probably one of the better, if not the best, of the ones that they've done so far. It's just if you can get past the fact that it's basically a one-to-one of the animated movie. Like I said, that's going to be the biggest hang-up for everybody is, okay, yeah, I've seen this movie before. Is going to be that feeling coming out of it.
Yeah.
But it depends. Like, is it necessary? No. But was it done well? You have to give it credit that it was done well. Like, you're not going to have as bright of a color palette because it's not animated. You're going to have some changes and issues and problems and stuff that is some rough CGI because, I mean, you're having bodies being thrown out of the ocean by ocean hand that doesn't exist and everything else. And you got a CGI chicken and CGI pig. And granted, 40% of this movie is probably CGI. So it goes back to the Lion King debate. Like, okay, well, Lion King was 99% CGI. This is probably 50% CGI.
At least.
Like, you're animating it still. So, like, what's the point of it? And like I said, that's all going to depend on the individual if you can get over the fact that it is, in the end, basically an unneeded live-action movie. Sure. But I will give it the credit for them actually doing a good job at bringing it to life.
Sure, yeah, and that's all you can really ask out of these types of, live-action adaptations is you're hoping that, what they do give you is a fine enough movie, and I think we got that here. I definitely love to have that debate sometime with people over if we didn't get the animated version at all, and this is the version that we got from it, how people would feel about the film. I think they'd actually probably like it. I think they really would. Like, it's not without a few minor issues here and there, but it's still really fun. Like, I didn't walk out of the movie in like a bad mood or anything. Like, I walked out pretty satisfied. I'm like, okay, like I saw it. Is it the best live adaptation I've ever seen? No, but is it the worst? Heck no. There's so many more worse. Like, this was fun. We had a good time. It's okay to have a good time, guys. It's really not that it's really not that hard to do. Like, you're allowed to go and, in that 2 hours you're in the theater, have a good time and take the movie for what it is. Like I said, you still get the brilliant songs. It does as good a job of trying to capture that magic as you could in a live action sense, because you don't get as much opportunity to be as dynamic as you would in an animated setting. So for that, I think they did fine.
Yeah, it's always going to be difficult to bring something animated to life in live action, and there not have to be compromises because there's so much more you can do in live action or in animation than you can do in live action, and not everything in animation translates that well into live action. This one was probably the closest to have, but you still have a lot of CGI and animated characters that you actually have to go into. Tamatoa, and as we said, with Tafiti and everything else you've got to have. And there's definitely some Disney jokes in here, Disney and Pixar jokes, things that you've got to look at. Is that a Finding Nemo joke here from Pixar? Is this over here? Like, there's definitely some in jokes that they throw in as well.
Sure.
Of being live action. But yeah, it's really, this is all about perception. It's how you go in and take this film in is going to depend on your enjoyment. If you take it for what it is, it's a fine, enjoyable, fun family film. That doesn't disregard that it's a direct copy of the animated movie, but it's okay that they decided that they were going to spend their hundreds of millions of dollars to do a live action, and they did it fairly well. Like, it's okay to have both. I would say this will get replay in our house. My kids will probably watch the animated version still vastly more, but it's also 10 years on. They're getting a little older, and it's kind of a way to try to bring a new audience back in. Like, the second Moana movie was 2024. Originally, it was supposed to be a series. They brought it into a movie. I was a little more mixed on it than you were, but that's still been a couple years. And so you think, all right, the first one came out 10 years ago. Here's a way to kind of bring everyone back into the world of Moana. And then, hey, we're working on Moana 3, another animated movie. So we'll bring everything back together with an animated film in a couple years here. I don't think it's a bad decision by them that they decided to do this. It wasn't necessary, but it was a fun movie in the end. And like I said, the only real issues had a few CGI problems here and there. Dwayne Johnson didn't feel as strong as like Maui in his performance. There are some really fun, entertaining parts with him. parts where he gets the core heart and soul of it. Some good humor, but some of that humor and things don't work as well with the live action Maui as it did with the animated Maui. But in the end, I didn't fully care. Like, I just walked out like, this is a good family time with my kids to watch Moana again. Like, experiencing it again 10 years later, it feels the same, but that's actually a good thing for the live action, that it was able to capture a lot of that heart and soul that makes up why these animated films become so endearing to everyone as they grow up, and as how we still have such big bonds with Disney films and animated films from our youth and stuff. Like, you know, we still really enjoyed the Masters of the Universe film that they did in live action. That was a cartoon brought to life.
Yeah.
No one saw that one either. It's had a rough box office itself. It's just the perception of things going in is really shifting and changing things with that. And but you have YouTubers and stuff doing a fantastic job of bringing some films. There's a decent amount of shift that's happening within the movie industry now, that these small, lower independent films are doing gangbusters because they're directed towards teenagers and the youth and everything, with Backrooms and with Obsession and how they do things. And I don't know, maybe Disney needs to take a different type of shift with that. They've got Tangled coming up next. Maybe they could tap into that a little bit more with having a more teenage-centered story. But, you know, their history with live action isn't that great, but they're not horrible films. Like, everyone talks like Disney has just put out one crappy live action film after another. Majority of them are pretty solid. They're never going to reach that level that the original animated films had. And I think people try to put it on too big of a pedestal to match up with it. It's not the same.
It's hard.
And it's hard not to do that because it's like, all right, well, if you're a one-to-one copy, this one's still far superior. That's okay.
Yeah. And that's perfect. And that's perfectly fine. I wish they would give some of these a chance. At the end of the day, we know it's kind of like a major cash grab for Disney to kind of throw this out there and try to make a little more money. I mean, they're a business. Why wouldn't they try to do it? And maybe if, you know, these films continue to not do as well financially, they may not make as many of them. I think that would appease quite a few people, unfortunately. But like I said, give this one a chance. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the quality of the film that it is. Don't let some of the overly negative critique of this film sway you from enjoying this if you're a fan of the original animated movie, because I think you'll still get a good time out of watching this. I really do.
Yeah, the live-action Moana is actually a pretty well-done film. It matches and is able to capture a lot of the heart and soul that the original animated film is. It's basically a one-to-one copy of the animated film. We're not going to sugarcoat that at all. It doesn't change a whole lot from the animated, but that's okay. That 10 years later, we are getting something like this. Was it fully necessary? No. But they did a good job of bringing it to life. Catherine was a fantastic choice for Moana. She sang extremely well. She handled these pretty beefy songs that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote for the original animated films, and she handled her own in every sense of the word. Dwayne Johnson was fun as coming back as Maui. It was really hard to get over the wig and the bodysuit that he's wearing. And, you know, he's 10 years older. He's in his mid-50s now. He doesn't give the same performance that you may have wanted or expected out of Maui, but I think he does a fine job. He has some really good moments and some lower moments, but I think he did a good job. And who else could you have got to come back to be Maui? Anyone else in there you would be complaining about, well, why didn't they just use Dwayne Johnson as Maui? Why'd you get somebody else? Because majority of this film is recast other than him and Jermaine Clements, who, you know, came back as Tamatoa. But I think overall, if you can get past your preconceived notions that, oh, it's a Disney live action film, I'm just going to automatically hate it because it's not necessary and it doesn't need to be. Part of that's true, but it's a fun film in the end. I'm probably giving this a 7.5. I was between a 7.5 and an 8 with it. The original animated Moana is a 9.5 to a 10. Like, you cannot compare it to the original, which is an instant classic, a soundtrack that just went bonkers of how people loved it and enjoyed it. It was lightning in a bottle that Disney did then. It's still a fun movie. It doesn't have that same full punch that the animated version had, but they actually did a good job with this one of bringing it to life.
Yeah, I'm giving it an 8. Like I'm right in there in that similar ballpark as you. Like it's fine. Like it's a perfectly fine movie. It's a good, like on its own merit, it's a good film. Like it does a good job of adapting this wonderful animated feature that's, like, to your point, almost completely perfect. Like it's such a good movie that is, stood for the last 10 years. Like we said, of all the films that are on the Disney Plus streaming service, it is the number one streamed movie of all time on that service, on their platform, for a reason. Like, people just love this movie. It is a high rewatchability. And I think because people hold it in such high regard, that any attempt to deal with the negative stigma that comes with a live action Disney movie is going to hurt any chances of it doing well commercially. But I really hope that people who just are still so dead set against going to see it in the theaters at least give it a chance when it makes it onto a streaming service, because I think you'll still have a lot of fun with it. Is it a perfect movie? No, it's not, without a few minor issues here and there that could probably drag it down a little bit, but it's still fun. You get all the good songs. You get, a lot of the same magic. You still get the love for island culture in the film that is prevalent in this, that I think makes it worth watching and seeing and checking out if you are a fan of the Moana movie. Like, look at this in a nutshell, in a vacuum. Like, yes, do Disney live action movies carry a stigma with them? Absolutely. And a lot of that is their own doing, and, not being able to get out of their own way for certain things, and definitely giving us some not good versions of live action. But I would equate this, and I know we haven't talked about this yet, but I would kind of put it on a similar level as like the live action How to Train Your Dragon film that came out last year that we thought did a really good job of basically being a pretty good, almost identical shot for movie as the animated feature for that did extremely well. Like, I'd put it on par with that. Like, if you liked the How to Train Your Dragon live action, I think you'll like this one. I think quality wise, it's on par with that, honestly. And that's kind of a good representation of like what I can equate it to another live action that's come out recently. I think it's better than the Lilo and Stitch live action, which wasn't terrible, but like I think it's better than that one. And we graded that one fairly well. Like I got a lot of enjoyment out of this. I'll watch it again. Absolutely, I want to see it. Will I still wind up going and watching the animated version more? Spoiler alert, I watched it immediately after getting home to kind of prepare it for this. But yeah, like it'll definitely make its way into my rotation, that I'll check it out a few more times. Like, I want to give it another chance again, just to see it again. It's got great visuals, the heart's there, the songs are there. Get it out of your head that it's another one of these crappy Disney live action movies, and you'll have a good time. Allow yourself to have fun watching this. I think you'll really get some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, just get out of your mind that it's an unneeded film. Well, that's not your choice or decision to make. Disney decided to make it. You can watch it and dislike it or like it however you want, but don't go in with the answer already in your head, because you're going to ruin any chance of actually liking it. Like, it's still made for kids. So in the end, it really matters what the kids liked and what they enjoyed about it. And my kids enjoyed it. The rest of the kids in there seem to enjoy it pretty well. It's not going to be the original. Nothing is going to match up to those originals. Like,
that's a hard
my youngest daughter loves The Lion King, and she loves the CGI Lion Kings and stuff too, but they were not nearly as good as the animated. But there's still a merit to have kind of both. And again, you can have the debate as well. Lion King was basically CGI, so you basically put out a
different kind of
animated version, but just get rid of that stigma. As you said with How to Train Your Dragon, I think it's a Disney stigma. Like, well, you're taking one of your animated and you're making a live action. Oh, we're just going to hate it because it's you. Oh, Universal's redoing How to Train Your Dragon. I'm excited for that one. Like, it's just weird how everyone perceives it, and you have that large vocal part of the internet that's going to do it. But it's also weird with I'm going to admit, with the critics. Like, I looked at reviews of this and it was wildly over the place. Like, some calling it the worst movie they've ever seen in their entire life, and ugly and muddled, and they butchered it and they ruined it. And I'm like, we did not watch the same film. Like, I'm not saying it's a great, amazing film. It's nowhere near the original, but it's still a fun, enjoyable, well-done movie that doesn't deserve all the hate it's already getting before people even see it.
Yeah, definitely take the time, if you're a fan of Moana, to look at this movie in a vacuum and do your own comparison. Yes, Does it not have all of the same wonder and magic of the animated film? No, that is an incredibly high bar to clear. But I think they did a more than successful job of bringing it to life in a way that was still entertaining, still had heart, still had good music. It checks all the good boxes that make a movie entertaining. They really do. Like you said, there's some minor quibbles that we have with this. It is what it is. It's not a perfect movie, but it's got a lot of the same heart. Give it a shot. I think you'll get some enjoyment out of it.
And I'm still waiting for the live-action Treasure Planet film to be made. Like,
sure,
just give me that in live action, and I'll be happy.
Sure.
And then that's the other side of the stigma. If you look online, there's so much hate and bashing and stuff over Disney live actions. The one that hasn't is the begging for them to do a live-action Treasure Planet film.
Yeah. Which I think would be successful, but you never know. Disney, if you're watching, Treasure Planet, make it happen. But yeah, go check this out. Moana is in theaters now. Give it a shot, and hopefully you have a good time watching it. Don't listen to a lot of the naysayers out there that are just automatically going to dismiss this movie, saying it's like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's definitely not that. Go, if you're a fan of Moana, check it out. Come to our social medias. Talk to us about this film. Let us know what you think if you check it out. If you're willing to wait to go see it on Disney Plus, do that too. Come back and let us know what you thought about it. We'd love to have that conversation with you because we got a lot of enjoyment out of this.
So thank you so much for tuning in. And if you feel so inclined, do all the things to help the show out, from follows, shares, likes, and comments on social media to subscribing on YouTube and your favorite audio platforms. All of it helps us out so much, and we can't thank you enough for all the support.
You can also become a subscriber over on Patreon to get each episode delivered to you early, exclusive merch items, and your name read out at the end of every episode. Check it out at patreon.com/we'll bring the popcorn.
That's going to do it for this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.